Bangers, my
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm John.
how you doing today? Good.
Hi, sweaty.
It's really funny.
Hangers,
Yeah.
my
I'm Colin.
He's getting
He's not
confused.
getting a bit of feedback.
Nah, well, sort of. When the live stream started, the sound was still on YouTube, so I had to mute it.
Professional outfit, this, eh?
Aye,
Hope
but
nobody's watching.
the thing is, you didn't know until it starts whether the sound will be on or no. Like you have to wait for it to start and then mute it right away, which is kind of what I did. Anyway, it confused you, and we had like a stunned silence there as well, which was
Aye.
good. You've been getting caught up in all the Glastonbury stuff.
I watched a bit on Friday, and I watched Pulp in that last night.
I watched Pulp this morning. I saw some of it, and then I went to make breakfast, and the dog shut the door and decided I wasn't getting to hear the rest of it. He's like, the door to the living room and the kitchen. What he
Uh,
does is, if you didn't let him into the kitchen, he takes a huff, so he shuts the door and then just falls asleep at the door, so you can't open it again from the other side. We give him a good shove.
all right.
A fucking arsehole, eh? Love it a bit. It's like he's a fucking arsehole. John, have you seen any of it?
A wee bit. I was a wee bit taken by Bob Villan, first by his name, then by first by the group's name, then by what they were saying on stage, and then I had a wee listen to their music on the way to the gym today and enjoyed it. So they've gained a new fan.
All right, I've never saw it. I just saw the controversy, but I watched a wee bit of Supergrass last night, and I were quite
I,
disappointed with him.
I watched them. Aye.
They sound great. I think whoever did the sound check did them dirty. I
Mm.
think didn't sound too great. And then I watched Shed Seven. Now I quite liked Shed Seven back in the day, and I've been to see them live fairly recently. I would recommend it. Very funny gig, like really funny. Well worth watching. And then Pulp, I watched that this morning. Like I said, they were excellent. Anyway, Hibs. We'll get on all things. It's been a good week for Hibs. John, we'll start off with Rocky re-signing.
Da, da, da.
That's re-signing.
Um, Re-singing, you're right, you're right. You're quick with a pun, even on a Sunday night after all the heat that we put up with the day. Rocky re-signing. I obviously missed the fact that Rocky had re-signed by just focusing on the first few seconds of the clip that Hib shared about the away top, not realizing that Rocky was announced at the end. So I'm like, that's not fucking Rocky Bushiri going like one of those Twitter accounts. It's like, keep on Hibs day something with a sort of pokey gif. But then, of course, he's there. Rocky's re-signed. So uh, I I think it's a good thing. I think continuity is good. I think he started to come onto a game last year. He's been a bit of a fan's favourite. He's had a taste of success. Malky Mackay talked about a core group of players. In fact, I think over the time that Malky's been at the club, he's talked about making small changes rather than wholesale changes, which is what's been happening for the last few years. And one of his recent interviews, he talked about a core group of players having experienced success who
Mm-hmm.
then set the standards for anyone new coming in. So Rocky would, I'm not going to say he's an integral part of that, but he's an important part of that.
I would agree. Colin, what did you think when you saw the news?
I was quite pleased. I think that's John. Just what John said. He's been good. You know, I was always thinking he's always got a mistake in him. To quote the pundits, but he did make too many mistakes, but he never from sort of January through to the end of the year, and he was important to the team. He seems him and Iredale seem to be the sort of mainstay of that defence in terms
Mm.
of like the motivational side and the all the bit everybody's talking about leaders and shouting at
Aye.
each other and patting each other on the back and all that. That's what they seem to bring. And you seen Iredale in the video seemed to be the one that was most pleased as well. They seem to get on. They seem to have a really good sort of relationship there, and you can see that on the pitch. So I was quite pleased for the reason as well, John saying there, the continuity, because we have too much chopping and changing. And what was good to get over and done with because it was kind of lingering too long, like almost like where Hearts are with Shankland now. Like how he's
Aye.
obviously he's hanging out because he's thinking he's got another move, but he wants to keep them on the leash so that he can, if that falls through, the better move, he'll just go. He'll go back to where he started at the start of the night, like like the old Seal Friday night stuff. Again, like see what you start with, and then work your way up the ladder, and then if you need to, you can go back to
Your fallback.
go
Yep.
back to the beginning. That's what he's doing with them, and that's where we were in danger. Maybe even trying to doing that a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
We were speaking about it last week, weren't we? So I'm glad. I'm glad Rocky's done over and done with and signed, because he's an important part of the team.
I wonder how much it is like the perception that it took longer than it was. But Rocky being away, that obviously would have held up. Like I think he would have been. He's away on international duty, had his holiday, and it does appear that as soon as he's come back, he's going right. Let's get it done, and then got his sign, been in, done the videos and everything, and then that's that. He's back at the club.
He's got to have his 2 weeks in Malia, hey, just to
Like,
unwind.
like, wasn't he? Listen, he's in the big box now, John. He was able to sort of name his terms, wasn't he? So
How do you feel about Big Kev Bushiri throwing people curveballs with badges, football clubs in Belgium?
I think it's good. It's good. I prefer that to the wee sideways eyes and folk hinting. It's that they pretend that they can stuff and putting gifts up and all the rest of it when they're guessing. So I'm all in favour of Kev Bashiri doing whatever the fuck he likes by winding folk up.
Because he might actually know. That's the thing.
Aye. Less in favour of the folk doing all the pretending stuff. It's aye. And then they get one right and hope everybody forgets the 10 that they've got wrong. Ken and the well, we say that phenomenon. We're talking about it. There was no, in fact, I won't talk about it. I'll catch this offline about the boy on. I'll leave it there.
Are you saying that there's folk that are making it they're in the know that aren't in the know?
Aye, it happens.
AITK.
Loads of folk, and I tell you what,
other clubs do it as well. Like because I've heard Sam Delaney on Top Light Time Machine talking about it with West Ham.
It's fucking easy to do, right? So now you could say right with relative certainty, right, or like a decent chance of being right. Hoylett's going to sign soon, right? So you say Hoylett, you could have a wee heard this sign in maybe next week, maybe the week after, but it's happening. Giannis almost over the line, you could say, right, and be kind of with a good chance of being correct because you know the club are at it. We're going to spend big on a striker. Well, we know we need strikers, so you could put out there the in the know game to play is really really easy. What I think is telling with it is nobody, and I mean nobody, put out that we were signing Mulligan. Nobody like he just what's the Fabrizio Romano, was that
Romano.
he tweeted it and we were all like, fucking hell, where'd that come from? And it was the same with McGrath as well. Nobody said we're about to sign McGrath. It was we signed a pre-contract. I mean, everybody going fucking notification of Hibs. I was just saying McGrath. Where'd that come from? So I think Hibs have been really good at keeping the actual in the know stuff tight, and the other stuff is a lot of folk flying kites in my view. Apologies to anybody who genuinely kens what's happening. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Rocky is good that he signed, isn't it? Like that's ultimately what it boils down. It's a good sign in. Continuity is there. Very popular figure at the club. And actually, I think probably because we had that Willie Won't he, it felt more of a marquee signing, the fact that he did, John, didn't it?
I thought you were talking about a footballer's name there, Willie Won't he?
Like Willy Wonka.
Sorry, was there? I got distracted. Was there a question in there about Bashiri?
Aye.
What was it?
It was the fact that we had the will he stroke won't he palaver with it. When it did happen, it almost felt like a bit of a marquee signing.
I don't know. I kind of. I don't know whether it's because I'm a wee bit ambivalent towards the sort of hype in the summer window. Like Hibs will or won't sign whoever it is that they do or don't sign. So when Bashiri was announced, in fact, like, honestly,
there, that was a good. That's what you float at. That's what you say. We will sign somebody, and there'll be somebody then sign. That's what my sources say. Good source, by the way.
Fall through every time as well.
Yeah,
you never know what will happen.
Aye, so in that, what was it, 28-second video that Hibs announced where Bashiri was at the end, I went, oh, it was almost like a wee added bonus, like, oh, we've got a new strip. Oh, and there's Rocky Bashiri. Well done.
Do you know what I think is important about it though as well? Like, see if we didn't sign him, there would have been quite a lot of negativity. Around, like we can't even afford them. He was good, and we've let him go slip through our fingers. We signed him accidentally the last time, and now we do want him. We can't get him. You know what I mean? So it's taken a lot of that. But don't get me wrong, like he's important to the team. He's a starter. He's one of the leaders. He's in there. But if we if we didn't sign him, I think it could have, not because anybody was going, oh man, we can't replace him, because he isn't irreplaceable.
Yep.
But because it would have created that negativity.
Do you think it puts an end to the coaches rumours?
Yeah.
Probably. Aye. I suppose we'll find out, eh? When Hibs announce something or no. There's definitely gone quite a bit of folk predicting that Porteous will be about to sign. So who knows? Right, just going to jump to the YouTube comments quickly, and then we'll talk about that away strip before we move on to Josh Mulligan. So Kenny says, "Evening, guys." Yep, evening, Kenny. Siri said, "Evening, lads. Seems we've got a gem in Mulligan. Seville fans are fuming they never got him, and many Celtic fans praising how good he is. What is his strongest position, though, midfield or right back?" We'll come on to that in a wee minute, Stevie. Ronnie said, "Hi, bangers. Good to see the squad has arrived safe and well at the training camp." Yep, Hibs shared some footage of the plane taking off and then landing in Amsterdam. Green Tea said, "Evening all." Ian says, "Hey, you guys." And Stevie says, "Can't believe Rocky stayed. I was convinced he was away, the rock on which the entire defence is built upon." Ian says, "Busy and brilliant week in the transfer market. Me thanks." Ian, I don't know if you mean the week just gone or the week about to come, or potentially both. Stuart said, "Any idea who the striker is?" Where after seen some say the boy from Maccabi Tel Aviv, but surely he would be out of our pay grade. So I haven't heard any names mentioned for the striker. I have seen some chat about us going to break the bank for him, but no idea who. Do either of you have any inside knowledge on who our star striker signing will be?
No.
I saw a tweet earlier that required translation, and then I got taken away by something else. So it may be about that. I really couldn't say.
I've not even heard that club being mentioned, so that's how far I removed that. I'm like,
Aye, I hadn't
see.
heard that either.
I'd like it to be a secret until it happens. Like, see the Rocky one, if they could have actually done it how they intended,
Mhm.
rather than everybody predicting it sort of every 5-10 minutes that he's got to sign now. It's today, it's lunchtime, it's this afternoon, it's tomorrow. You know, all that stuff. If the video had just came out and we got
Aye.
it, that would have been so much better, eh?
I likened it to Kim. Did you ever do it when you were wee? You try to guess when the traffic lights would change. Going to change now, and you just kept going until they changed, and then you were like, "See, tell you,
Yeah.
that's what it's like here, the guessing game." John McGlynn said, "How's it going, bangers? What a news week! I'm buzzing. The video Rocky, seeing everyone back at the club, gave me an ear-to-ear smile. Full of the feels for that guy." Steve asked, "Will Joe Newell continue to be our captain next season? Rocky is the man for the band for me." So Joe Newell will remain captain, you were thinking. No reason to take it off him.
No, I wouldn't think so. The only reason is if he doesn't get in the team.
Aye, this is true. Kenny says, "Right, everyone is Shanklin now a viable option, or is it a step in the wrong direction? Would he gel in the feel-good factor throughout the club?" Right, cards on the table. John, would you want to see Lawrence Shanklin sign for Hibs?
No, thank you.
Colin?
Oh, I think it would be brilliant for the noise up. Like I think that would be like, and he can score goals. Like he didn't score many last year till he was in the bottom six, but the year before, like everything he hit went in, which we all knew couldn't go on. Like, look, XG tells you that, John, doesn't it? As you know, so like, but it did for him in that year, and then but then last year he was way the opposite way, until the easy games, obviously in the bottom six. I didn't see why no. Like just one, it would wind him right up, and two, he would score goals.
So I think it would be a funny signing, but I hope we stay the fuck away from him. It's not for me. Like, I will edit that out. If he does sign, I'll go back and say what signing it is. Marquee signing. Nah, fuck.
Statement signing.
Aye.
Broke the bank for him.
No, thank you. Not for me. Stevie said if we could add Chiantis, Porto, and possibly even a cheeky bid for Murray to get Simon Murray to the squad, we'd have third in the bag before the ball was kicked. Stuart Anderson said Don Turgeman. I think if that's a made up name, Stuart, or if that's oh, apparently he's meant to be going to Rangers, said Stevie. Never heard of that player before.
I think that was a Drew Peacock moment there.
Aye, like it's one of those ones, isn't it? You're reading it going, is it a Drew Peacock or a Sea Lion or Ivor Biggin? Kieran said for a new forward would take Johnny Kenny. scores a barrel load in the conference, and for Shamrock, obviously got something about him, and only 21.
About Celtic.
I think so. Scottish Check, he said, hi, Matty, John, and Colin. Hiya. Ross Paget said, what's the rumour late to the party? So, Ross, there was a rumour that we're potentially after a striker from Maccabi Tel Aviv. Right, let's talk about that away strip that was released. Colin, it's got a hint of Brazil about it. Are you a fan?
I quite like it. I quite like. I don't know. I'm not always a big fan of the yellow ones, but that one seems to be quite. Do you know what? It just looks better because it was Rocky. It was in it. Eh? Like Rocky looks middleweight sort of boxer, like physique. You know what I mean? It looks the part on him. I'm not sure a pasty white overweight Hibs Da has got to quite carry off in the same way as fucking Rocky.
I'll give it my best go.
So you're no pasty. But no, I don't know. I quite like it. Some like, and some likes I like it. I'm not a massive fan of the yellow strips normally, but I think it's one of the better ones.
How about you, John?
Well, I was going to say I'm the same as Colin, that I'm not a fan of the yellow ones, but it's the fluorescent yellow ones that I'm not a fan of.
Aye.
Because it's almost, it feels a wee bit lazy. Like the marketing guys or the creative guys, they go, what the fuck are we going to do this year? Fluorescent yellow? Aye, fine. What do you want for lunch?
What was it last
but
year?
this,
Purple. No, it was done black and purple.
So
I think when the home strip was announced, I made a wee crack about the Paul Kay on the collar for the same because it reminded me of a jersey from that period. And this jersey reminded me, possibly because Hibs had tweeted a happy birthday to Scott Brown from I think when we beat Celtic 3-1.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a little bit of that strip. However, it's a different shade. It's probably more like the closer to the Carlsberg sort of mustard yellow strip. So there's like I don't know, like I'm maybe reading too much into it. Like I feel like I mean obviously it's the 150th year, but I feel like there's a couple wee nods to really popular past Hib strips there, and the two that have been released.
I really liked it. I think the wee green diamond or triangle on the collar, if they'd just done away with that and just kept it yellow all the way around, it would have been perfect. But I like it. I will probably get it, Colin, and have a go at
it. Got it.
Yeah. I know. I had looked to try and get the home one, but couldn't get it in my size. I was going to go for the long sleeve. For a change, I never had a long sleeve top before, and I thought it looked quite smart when I seen it. So I was like, do I go and spend the money and get the short sleeve one, or just wait till the long sleeve is back in stock? So
that's mad. It's in stock already, yeah.
Aye, really popular,
But like, right, we obviously just whoever's in charge of the stock just doesn't take the risk, eh?
Aye. It's quite mad. It's like when they're running out of pies at half time, eh? And you think, surely you can't folk were coming to the football.
Yeah.
It's like you're launching a kit, have enough for everybody to get one. Right. Talk about exits before we go on to Josh Mulligan. Dylan Vente sold. Colin, it wasn't a surprise, and was reported about £1 million-ish that we got from. Good move.
Aye, I think it's decent. He wasn't getting a game here, was he? He never really broke into the team properly, did he? He played lots of games right enough, so he probably did, but he didn't score enough goals. So he went away there. He started scoring goals again. So fair play. Broke even or made a wee bit on it. So.
John, anything to add on that?
Just that I'll miss him forever, and I will watch his future career with interest.
No, you forget about it. That's it. It's only when he's a Hibs player scoring penalties in the Dutch league that everybody notices.
Well, is that thing? Are we going to still get the updates week to week of how many goals Dylan Vente scored in Holland?
Every now and again, sporadic. Oh, he got a hat trick this week. Can you be like, all right, did he? Very good.
Well, I would imagine that if he does, that there'll be some accounts that will be talking about it. Oh, we missed out on him, etc., etc. Or you might have the opposite, where you maybe have a sort of Melkerson effect, where you didn't really hear about him and folks say, he was shite, we managed to sell him for good money or whatever. But actually, what you were saying before, like I did actually continue to sort of like check in on Melkerson from time to time, because I thought he was a good player. I thought Vente was a good player, and I don't know. I guess I'm looking for a wee bit of confirmation bias by googling them from time to time just to see how they're getting on.
It's not that they're no good players. It's maybe just that the circumstance, the team they were in, the manager they played for, the style of playing the league.
Context.
one
I
or
think
all
you're
of
talking
the
about.
combinations they might have been. They go away and back to their own league, if you like, the country they're from,
Yep.
and score. Well, he's not. He plays for another country, but you know what I mean. He's back to where he made his name, and he's scoring goals again. He'll be settled. He's maybe no homesick. He's maybe got a style of play that suits his, whatever it is he brings. So it's not that they're shite. I'm sure it's just that they didn't settle, wasn't the right time, right player, wrong time, sort of thing.
Aye. I can't really argue any of that. I thought Vente was all right. Never really, apart from a lightning fast start at the club where he thought he looked like the find of the century. I think he sort of flattered to deceive. And I
When
think
he got in a position, his finishing was good. He wasn't in the position often enough. That was it. And that could, whether that's because he wasn't fit enough to get there, or the manager was asking him to do something that detracted for what he was good at. Like, who knows? But when he got finishes, his finishes were generally good.
Mm-hmm. Another exit, and maybe one that was not completely a surprise, but not necessarily expected either. Colin, was Nathan Moriah-Welsh. What did you make of that?
I suppose I wasn't that surprised. I mean, I like the laddie seemed enthusiastic, and he done all right when he played. Seemed to enjoy it here. Seemed to be part of the good team spirit and all that. But when you're bringing in, if you're trying to get better, you're incrementally replacing the sort of the guys at the bottom of that ranking, and that's forever a forever cycle. Like Joe Newell's always been like, oh, we guaranteed a game, but now he's probably slipped down a wee bit, and Moriah-Welsh is out the door, and so they've all moved down that ladder, if you like. So he'll be wanting to play games, eh? Was he 24 or something?
22, I think.
22, he'll be wanting to play. He's not going to sit in. He's hardly played last season. When he got in, he was straight back out the team again. He barely done 2 in a row. Done all right when he came on. But he'll be thinking, fuck's sake, I just want to go and play football. So fair play to him. Good luck to him.
John, is he a victim of Hibs just sort of gradually increasing the standard of player who can't get in the team?
It's a good question. So when I tweeted about it, I suggested that he was as good as the midfield that he occasionally appeared in last season. However, with Hibs strengthening, he now finds himself potentially in like a larger group, like maybe more competition.
I keep talking, John. He's just vanished.
What was I saying?
Oh, the recording stopped. The recording stopped though, but we'll still be on YouTube. So watch your language.
We are still on YouTube as well.
Aye. You went this daft to join in.
Moriah-Welsh. Aye, so greater competition for places. I wonder if that means less game time for more players. I'm just thinking out loud here. But it makes sense, I think, for him to go out and find football. And I think that Mansfield have got a really good football. What do we ask now? What do we move on to?
No, but I'm just going to say why he said he is. He says he'll be back in a second. He just decided to switch his laptop off.
Back again.
We just carried on talking there.
They just went off.
Because we're there's folks sitting talking on watching on YouTube. So we carried on. John just finished this bit about Moriah-Welsh.
Nice one. And the other one that we had that hasn't been confirmed by Hibs, but has been reported, was Tavares as well. Now that's probably the least surprising one, John, isn't it?
My dreadlock rockstar. He's away. Well, I mean, it's not being confirmed, but the chat is that the Hibs and Tavares have come to an agreement to, what is it they say, rip up the remainder of the contract, or
It'll pay him up a percentage, probably.
But I think what we were saying with Vente probably applies to him as well. Like maybe the right player at the wrong time, or maybe the wrong style of football. I get the impression that he's maybe a bit of a confidence player, and there were times where, when the fans were giving him and the team a bit of a hard time, I think he maybe shrunk a wee bit, and he couldn't quite get that confidence back. There was a brief period that we talked about, like we talked about redemption arcs previously, and he looked good during that period, but then things quickly turned negative after that. Not towards him, but I think towards the team in general.
Oh, fair enough. And Colin, you anything to add to that?
No. Good luck to him.
I'm still number one. I still keep him at the Hibs team.
I think he came a great fanfare, and this was probably Hibs' fault that hyped him up. He maybe would have benefited for. I was just saying we've signed a young player for Benfica, put him in the reserves or like the development team for a season, and then try to bleed him in rather than having him go into the team and fail. Do you know, like just set expectations that he was one for the future.
He signed at the same time as Aberdeen signed that boy
Duke,
from the same club, didn't he? And he's obviously went and he got sold on for a few bob, Duke, didn't he?
He's still at Aberdeen, is he not? Did they move in the summer?
Is he still there? Oh, well,
still there.
He was touted for big money then, wasn't he? This is because I didn't pay enough attention to other teams. But he was touted for a lot of money. But I think Tavares was almost rated. Did you know? Was it you that told me that the youth team at Tavares was a starter, Duke, wasn't he? You know, like I think it was your laddie that was out there at Benfica, and that was the stuff on the wall. So, just again, like,
but
the club was a bit of a mess when we were signing all these boys, weren't they? Who knows what they might have been like if they were coming in, if we were signing them now.
My recollection of Duke is that he's got a big arse and he's quite a powerful runner, and I wonder if he was more suited to Scottish football, which is why he was on the bench at Benfica, whereas perhaps Tavares is a bit more of a...
Because it has been the league. That's the thing. You know, folk will say, oh, the Dutch league or whatever's better than, or the Portuguese league's better than the Scottish league, and you go, aye, it is, but it's a different style of play, so it's got to suit a different style of player. That doesn't mean that if you take a player out of that league and bring them here, they're going to be like a superstar, you know?
Yeah.
On reflection, stuff that's required.
On reflection, I wonder how much, given Tavares' Boyle's number when he signed, which was kind of counter to what Matty was suggesting about putting him on the development side. It was almost like, there's Boyle away for money, and here's his immediate replacement. And it just,
but this was
Sorry, I was just going to say there was a couple of different things that didn't help him there. So he wasn't the same player as Martin Boyle. Two, he wasn't the same player. Giving him the number, making it out like he was going to be an immediate replacement, it just didn't work.
This was the club at the time, right? Whoever was in charge of that, I don't know if it was the comms guys, if it was the director of football, if I had one, I can't remember at the time, or the manager, but they were hyping players up behind. No, Kenna was another one. Tavares, I've had managers phoning me, telling me. My brother-in-law was at the Supporters Association thing, and Lee Johnson was in there telling me that night, you'll no believe the quality of this boy. Like, I've had managers from all over the place phoning me, asking, how did you get ahead of him?
He was right. We didn't believe the quality of him. It was probably why did he get ahead of him was the question.
Our managers were actually saying, why the fuck did you sign him? No, how did you sign him? But no, but that was the hype that we had them on. Like, Kenna for Leeds, oh man, he's Leeds under 23, they wanted to sign him. You know, it was like they were trying to get us to buy in to somebody that couldn't live up to that billing.
Aye. Right, talking about strengthening the squad, Ara asked the question on YouTube, said, for strength of squad, would we not want another defender and an upgrade over the three from last season? So maybe just challenging, you know, like Rocky coming in is a big defensive signing, but have we stood still in the defensive position? Obviously, we brought a goalkeeper in, but would you want to see a defender come in to raise the bar in that area of the pitch, or is it not a priority, John?
I think it's a really good question, and it ties in with a couple of positions that we've got on the pitch, actually. So we've re-signed Bushiri, and the question I was going to ask, or what I thought of earlier, was about Marvin Ekpiteta and where he comes in. You've got O'Hora in there, you've got Miller that can play at the back as well. So I think what we've got at the moment is some competition for places. You've got known quantities, albeit you do still have that try to get better. But I think perhaps with the trying to sign better, trying to improve the squad year on year, you lose that continuity. So there's probably a time and a place to look for better, but it might not be right now, or it might not be wholesale, or it might not be in one position, because I think we've got pretty decent cover at the back at the moment, based on the way that we play.
Aye, and the age profile of the back 4 or 5, like the squad that's in there is good. Like, we don't have anybody who's really young. We didn't have necessarily like a really experienced player in there either. But they're all players that are about to kind of hit their prime, you would hope, kind of over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Right, Josh Mulligan came in as well. This was the big announcement on Friday, with a bit of guessing game about whose knees they were in the video, and I think most people guessed it was Mulligan. A bit of a coup for the club, Colin, isn't it? Like he's. I have a friend who's does a Dundee TV commentary, and he reckons Mulligan has a higher ceiling than Lyle Cameron and Luke McCowan, which is the sort of the three of them were grouped together like our golden generation. I think that was how Dundee view those three players. What are your thoughts on this signing?
Before I do that, Duke has left Aberdeen, right?
Has he?
So that's just put my credibility back up. Sorry, to zero, right?
From negative.
I'm number one, and I was right.
But that's interesting to hear because obviously they're fans of that club, whereas I think like we've got like I don't know, right? Like be honest, like I watch the Hibs games and I watch Sports Scene and I watch the occasional other live game. I don't track players' progress. I don't know what position he plays like consistently. I've watched the clips of him coming in there. It all looked like more attacking, further forward play. Focusing he plays right back though or right wing back. It all looked more central or even lefty central bursts he was making. I don't know. So I take the word there, a Dundee fan who's watched them regular, because that'd be like somebody that watches Dundee every week coming and making a judgment on Joe Newell. Seen him 3 or 4 times, a couple of times in Edinburgh Derby on the telly, because that's effectively what I've seen the boy, right?
Aye.
So McCowan's good. So if they're reckoning he could be better than him, then good. That's really good, eh?
Aye.
But I've no idea. Honestly, I didn't mean to be wide or anything. I just didn't. I do watch the games. I just don't track somebody's progress, and you obviously can't do that through Sports Scene because you're only getting the snippets, aren't you? Otherwise, we've signed how many players have we signed and watched their clip? Well, if you watched their clip, because I didn't bother because I think it's a waste of time watching their best bit clip on YouTube. It's the fucking best bits. It's everything they've done well, right? They didn't show you. It doesn't give you the context to them no tracking back or making mistakes, and I don't notice that. Like when I'm watching them play against Hibs, because I'm wanting to watch Hibs attacking. I'm not watching the Dundee boy missing a tackle. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It sounds promising though. That's all.
John, what were you?
Get them for free.
No, but we'll come on to that in a wee
Is
second.
that the second part that you
We've got a
mentioned
really
earlier?
good question from Martin, which
Right.
I'll bring up in a second.
Would you indulge me for a couple of minutes? When I was looking up Josh Mulligan earlier, because I'm similar to Colin. Like I'll watch games involving Hibs, and last year I said I was pretty busy, so perhaps some of Mulligan's standout performances, if you like, I just didn't see them. There's lots of stuff I didn't see. But when I was having a read about him today, obviously after that he signed for the club, and because you mentioned how Celtic fans apparently rate Josh Mulligan, it was Celtic News Now. There's 2 paragraphs, so if you'll indulge me, I'll read
Yeah,
them
go
out.
for it.
Josh Mulligan, born on 12th November 2002, is a stalwart of Scottish football who, despite apparently having a debilitating aversion to other footballing pastures, has somehow fashioned a career as a central midfielder for Dundee. Standing 5'8" and sporting a robust weight of 12 stone 1 pound, this native son hasn't enjoyed the glamorous lifestyle of, say, a Monaco-based tax exile, but he has manifested a commendable endurance in the middling expanses of the Scottish Premiership, frequently donning the number 8 jersey. There's a few more paragraphs.
Thank fuck we've not got a Hibs equivalent to this fucking.
Oh, you'll feel the same, probably
condescending.
even stronger with this last paragraph. In all honesty, Mulligan's football career could perhaps be summarised as a testament to the comfortable charms of mediocrity, painstakingly etched in the annals of Scottish football circa 2017 to 2025. One hopes the lad will inject a bit more ambition into his final season at Dundee, lest he become a mere footnote in the heroic sagas of sublime footballing giants who never quite made it to Dens Park. What do you think about that?
Too long didn't read.
Ask him what he thinks about mind how good they tell us Ewan Henderson was as well, Celtic fans. That's what I take on board to their judgment.
I think it's an interesting one. So he's obviously stayed at Dundee. Like he's had a good few loans out to various clubs, which is developed. He's had I think somebody mentioned he missed a season through injury, and I think he went back to that team and had the next season on loan. But he looks like a player that's developed and developed and developed as they've gone, and probably had his best season last season. Caught the eye of a number of clubs, right, including Rangers, including Hibs, obviously. And I think when you listen to his interview for when he came to Hibs, he's obviously thought about the move carefully. It's not just a case of can chase the money or whatever. I think he sees it as the next stepping stone in his development. So I don't know how that stands with the Celtic. They're pretty much criticising him for a lack of ambition, John, were they?
That I just thought it almost reads like someone taking a piss, like it's a parody article. I think it's really unfair, and it's at odds of my perception of Josh Mulligan based on the limited reading that I've done and my sort of opinion on his career so far. So you mentioned the loans that he's had. So he started at Dundee, he's gone out on loan. He mentioned it in his interview. I think it was Jim McInally that gave him his chance at Cove or Peterhead, I forget which.
Yep.
And he's
Cove
come back
first.
to Cove first, and he's come back. Sorry, what I meant was I wasn't sure where Jim McInally managed.
Ah, right, sorry.
So Mulligan's come back and he's put in something like it's about 120 odd games, 160-ish appearances. And I think he's the type of player that Hibs often struggle to develop themselves because, for whatever reason, expectation levels are higher despite never really delivering upon them. And what that means quite often is that we don't have youth players who go out on loan and come back and go into the first team. That's what Josh Mulligan has done. The best thing that a footballer can do is get that experience, get that development, and actually get game time. So you could compare that to a few years ago when I think Hibs fans were looking to sign Jason Kerr for St Johnstone. He was able, like, Jason Kerr was a better footballer than Ryan Porteous at that time because he had twice the number of games.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Josh Mulligan brings to Hibs. He's got a lot of experience now in Scottish football. And to my earlier point about competition for places, you can see now that he will provide competition at least. I think right wing back, Chris Cadden. We've got competition on the other side of the pitch with Nicky Cadden and Jordan Abita. So you can see that there's like little glimpses of how Hibs are preparing, I think, for European football and the domestic campaign ahead.
I think that's the big thing for it. It again goes back to raising the quality player who can get in the team. I think Mulligan will start more often than not, given what I've read about him. But I think when you're looking at like maybe Dylan Levitt, no featuring as much, Joe Newell finding it harder to get a starting position. But having that squad game, like we talked about it a lot, and not just playing 11 is important, but having a squad of 18, 20 players that will see you through the bulk of the season. The Observer did a lot of good analysis on it. I think what we'll get is a player who's like a real powerful runner, creates a lot of chances, he's got a goal in him. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. There's a few comparisons flying about with Super John McGinn. I don't know if it's early for that. So like those are big shorts to fill.
He's not scored that many goals. Like
No, but he's not played like as a like in particular forward positions, has he? Like a right wing back and a defensive midfielder, I think is
he? Because the clips all showed him as an attacking position.
I think he gets forward the way. I think this is the like his starting position is deep, but he generally carries the ball with him. Right. On the terms of the fee, right, so we've got a question from Martin, and I'll read out his question and get your thoughts, and I'll tell you the answer that we looked up as well. So Martin said, I'd be interested in our thoughts on how players should be valued when they come through an academy like Josh Mulligan, but out of contract. I was speaking with a Dundee pal who was struggling to determine a likely fee for Josh and cited Connor Badden as an example, but also said Dundee recently sold a 15-year-old keeper at Forest for 400,000 and a 16-year-old centre half to Wolves for 500,000, and neither had played a single first team game. Josh had made 130 first team appearances for Dundee and was an ever-present starter for the under-21 national team for the last 3 years, and that's with Doak. Most D fans believe his ceiling is higher than Cameron, but he doesn't agree. Cheers, Martin. So I don't know how good your knowledge is on how these fees are worked out, but how do you think it should be calculated? Like how should a club be compensated when a player comes through the academy and moves on at the end of contract?
Have we had any? Like, because we've, by the way, see, sorry to sidetrack it, but they figures 400 grand for the goalie and 500 grand for the defender. That's dwarfing anything we've had, and we're like delighted when we sell somebody to West Ham for 6 figures, which is 100 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's mental. Like how they're getting. We maybe need to have a look at their youth system. If they're getting that kind of money in, and they're developing players that get into the first team, to see if we can learn something from it. But I don't know if it's like a certain. How long's he been in the academy? Because that's obviously cost money, right? So
Mhm.
they've got to at least break even on what's cost them, right, to develop a player from maybe 8-year-old or whatever age laddie's going to the academy at, every year through all that, the support, and because they obviously don't pay fees or anything, so it's all money out, right? So the reason the clubs are doing these academies is to sell them on and make money, or get them in the first team and then sell them on and make money in Scotland. So obviously they can't be allowed to go for free. There's a rule, you've got to give them offer them a contract, haven't you?
You have to at least match the terms that they're on, I think.
Aye. So you've got to offer them a deal. To let him go into his last year like that's maybe no great business. Like we've been stung with that with Porteous. We hardly got a penny for Porteous really, and what it was worth. So that would be my comparison. When we sold Porteous on, we only got a few $100 grand, didn't we? When if he was going at full market rate, it would have been a couple of million probably. So you are going to get a fraction of what he's probably worth because of that. You get your fees back, and have to suck it up because you never got him to sign the deal early enough, the longer term deal. Because that's what happened with us Porteous. You know, I'm not trying to be harsh on Dundee, but that's what happens. It's ruthless.
So we put a question to Copilot because I wasn't sure how they worked out. I knew the panel would have some factors that they looked into it. So the answer that we got was, here's how the SPFL Tribunal works out a development fee when a player under 23 leaves on a Bosman for another Scottish club. So there's some eligibility criteria. So they must be registered to the selling club at any point up to their 23rd birthday. And the selling club must have offered a new contract in writing and notified the SPFL and the buying club that they intend to claim compensation. And then there's a basic formula. So they use a fixed per year training cost. So age 12 to 15, it's paid at the category 4 rate, and age 16 to 21, paid at the purchasing club's category. And so the SPFL is category 2. And then multiply the annual rate by the number of years the player was in each band. And then they'll adjust it for things like the relative stature or status of each club and the length of the player's stay, any fee the selling club paid to acquire the player, terms of the contract offers on the tables like salary and bonus, the player's records, things like international caps and first team appearances, other recruiting interests if other teams are trying to get the player, direct costs in medical, rehab, other development outlay, whether they've tried to negotiate a settlement before, and they can attach future conditioning, so like sell-ons and things like that as well. So there's quite a lot there. Probably not the most interesting thing to kind of go through, but
can I suggest an alternative?
Aye.
I think what the clubs do, the selling club, or the club whose player's going to get pinched, I think what they do is they come up with a reasonable figure. They deduct things like subs, fines, cost of meals eaten at the training ground, fuel for the minibus to away games, tips for the driver, all that sort of stuff. Then they add on a MAGA style Trump tariff, and that's how you get your fee.
I'm on board with that.
It's all that stuff you read out. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's all mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo.
Aye, go for your approach, John. Right.
But Connor Barron went for a fortune, eh?
Aye, he did.
So we might get absolutely stung here, but I'm sure if we went into it with our eyes open.
Aye. Well, I think Hibs will ken. I think he's a safe investment, isn't he? Like, barring injury, Hibs will make more money than we spend on him, I would think, based on what folk are saying about his ceiling. Because generally, for a first team player, we'll sell a player for more than Dundee will. And that's just the way it works. And it seems Celtic will sell somebody for more than we will. Right.
Mind we gave St Mirren a 30% sell on for McGinn, and then we never ever got our fucking sell on back, eh?
Scanners,
that's a good one.
I think that's good. Selling for a couple of million and now and get the sell on. And then
Did we give them a sell-on fee for McGuinness?
probably.
Uh,
Can't imagine it would have been much though. Right, well, we'll look at January's fixtures. We've not got that much time left, maybe 10, 15 minutes. So we'll rattle through the January fixtures and keep our review up.
Yep.
So, where were we? 2nd of January, away to St Johnstone, 1 each. Martin Boyle scoring the goal. John, what do you remember of this game?
that people were raging that it was only 1-1. That we should have gone to McDermott Park, we should have beat them, etc., etc. But I think did we lose an early goal?
No, we lost a penalty at half time. I'm just checking it.
Aye,
After they got a man sent off.
it was Dwight Gale that scored, sorry, not Martin Boyle was the captain.
That was it.
Holt got sent off in 41 minutes. Again, Holt gets sent off against us regular, and then Clark scored a penalty at half time.
So that's one of the things I remember. Well, sorry, I've misremembered. But I think that's maybe one of those, I don't know, one of those like pragmatic results that I look at. So I don't think it's necessarily true that a team that goes down to 10 men and goes 1-0 up, or even goes down to 10 men and the scores remain level. I don't think it's automatically true that you should then have a numerical advantage. Or sorry, you do have a numerical advantage, but don't necessarily want to beat them because it's impacted by like the position that they are on the pitch. So like if it's a goalkeeper that gets sent off and they don't have a reserve on the bench, then that makes it easier to win, you would think. But also they start packing the box, all that sort of stuff, the sort of things that St Johnstone do.
Mm-hmm.
But we had Dwight Gale who got us back into the game, so it was a shit result, but it was a valuable point, taking into account the circumstances of the game. Was my take on that.
Probably a game with the point was more valuable in hindsight, Colin, because it kept the run going. Like it didn't feel like a great point at the time, but it wasn't catastrophic, was it?
No, not in the end. But at the time, you're looking at it, and we were in the back of a good run, and then we went to the team 5 points clear at the bottom of the league at the time. They got down to 10 men, expecting to win, and actually we go a goal down. So it was disappointing, despite it being a hard place to go and all that shit. It was. It did feel more like a defeat because of the 10 men thing, because they're shite, because of the worst team in the league.
I think maybe I don't know, maybe the different way to look at these things is that I think we look at Hibs results sometimes through lenses. You win, fucking amazing. You lose, absolutely fucking terrible. You can still be disappointed about drawing a game, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. And I think I think I'm in that sort of middle ground.
Aye.
Especially taking out the context and what you said, Matty, about the like keeping the run going, because that was like we didn't realise at that point. Like we had
That's
4
what David
wins.
Gray said in his interview. I'm just reading it. A point on the road is by no means a disaster, but probably feels like it because we're playing against 10 men for a long period of time. We're still unbeaten in 5 games, so there's positive to take. That was his assessment, which is basically what you guys have just said without reading that.
Fair enough. And next up were Rangers. It's 3-3 Easter Road. This was a fucking real game, wasn't it? Colin, would you remember this one?
Aye, this was, when was it? Oh, Sunday, just after Christmas, January the 5th. There was loads of games at this time of year, eh? So this was, did we go, we lost a couple of goals really early, eh? Aye, we went 2-0 down, I'm just checking that now. Aye, so we lost 2 really early goals, and I'm thinking, fuck's sake, man, we've got to get it doing. And got ourselves back in the game. Boyle got a double, including a penalty. Remember the penalty? It was the Josh Campbell.
Oh, that's right.
Come in, can't remember who it was, came and took him out. And it was like one of the initial ones where the Rangers fans just went on and on and on and on. So then we've got another decision against them for a wee while. So it was that one. And then Bushiri equalising late on. Again, after going, we went 3-2 down. But then did we nearly lose it at the end? Did Rocky make a mistake at the end?
Rocky misjudged that. So I think Rocky was at fault for one of the or he got blamed for it. I'm not sure if it turned out like in hindsight whether or not it was his fault for it, but it was one of these ones misjudging a ball over the top. And I think he could have dealt with it, but there was opportunities to defend the situation after that. But definitely, like the consensus was it was Rocky's fault, and then he did the same at the end. But Eggman, that was he got a hat trick, but he hit the post, I think.
Aye,
with
that's right.
his chance at the end, and we kind of got away with it. What I mind about it is Josh was running late for this game, and we were 2-0 down, and I was texting him saying, "Fucking didn't bother coming." Like
Aye.
it's dreadful. Like it looked like we were going to get an absolute tanking. But he arrived. We went. It went 2-1. So Josh pretty much seen us win 3-1. Like as far as he was concerned, we won 3-1. But it was a fucking
It did
difficult
feel
first 25.
really bad, eh? Aye. At the start, 19 minutes, it was 2-0.
You have to see the in the end, like I think it felt like opposite for when you have the point the week before against St Johnson, and it felt dreadful. This felt like a really good point. A, because we'd come back for 2-0 down. B, because it was Rangers. But C, I think because of the fight in the team. Like I think this was one again. We've spoken a few times about sort of key matches where you could see the team spirit and that sort of attitude that they had. No, just kind of chuck the toys at the pram kind of thing when
This was a mental game for Rocky. I'm just remembering because I've seen he got the assist for Boyle's goal.
aye, did he set
That
the
was
lead
when he
off
didn't
them?
be layoff for him, eh?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Boyle scored. Then he scored the equaliser, but he also cost goals at the other end. And you're almost going, "This boy's fucking mental." Like he's just like, but you see it to defend, but he's created a goal and scored a goal. A 3-3 draw. Like,
Is this the game where Rocky's gone, like, I think I described it as like limping, like sprint limping back to get a goal line clearance? Was it this game or was it another one?
no, I think that was that one. Was that a Celtic game?
Oh, it was maybe the Celtic game actually, when because he's then had a go at the referee and got booked
Aye, it was
afterwards. Aye, sorry,
maybe
I'm
yeah.
misremembering. Would you indulge me one more time just to read out a couple of quotes for the BBC match report?
Aye, go for it.
Because I just think they're amusing as we look back on just a few months ago, really. Clement will not face any criticism for tinkering with his starting lineup. Clement will rue missed chances in the opening period, and Clement has an absolute gem in Igamani.
They were talking about him as being a 30 million striker after that game. It was mental. Like Boyle got 2 goals in the game. It's not like only a goal difference. I think man's 30 million. Boyle doesn't get, doesn't come into the equation. The fucking are mental when it comes to talking about old firm players. Like just ridiculous. Aye, but I thought it was a cracking game to be at as well. It was like one of these. Hibs and Rangers sometimes serve up a cracking game like that, and that was definitely one of them. Next up was Motherwell, 3-1 win. Goals for Boyle, Triantis, and a Boyle penalty. They had a man sent off late on, and Callum Slattery scored for them. I can't remember too much of this game at all. That's mad. John, what do you remember about it?
Not much, to be perfectly honest. I'll need to refresh myself with the match report. Boyle, Triantis. Triantis, is this the one where Triantis intercepts the ball, strides forward, tucks it in the far corner?
That's what I was thinking, John, but I can't see that in the match report. But that's what I was thinking it might have been, because that was a good goal, when he picked it up, sort of, and then came in and stroked it away in the far corner.
I think I'll go and
It must have
watch
been because he got sent off in another game.
Aye, but I don't know if it was against Motherwell, though. I don't know what other goals Triantis scored. You know what I mean? I can't remember if it was in this game. I think it might have been, though, in this game.
I
But
think it was.
that was a really good. It says here the quality of his finish for the second goal was on par with any forward in the league.
Aye.
And anyone that doubted him coming back to Hibs knows exactly what he's all about now, sort of thing. So must have been that one. That's when he picked up the intercept or something, and he just sort of strode forward, and nobody went near him, and he just drilled it bottom. Well, sort of passed it like a sort of whipped it into the bottom corner. It was really
I think after the run that we'd been on, in particular, like picking up those points that we just described at St Johnstone and at home to Rangers, to then go and follow that up with a victory, like it. I think the context of the league at the time was, I don't know exactly where we were, maybe about mid-table-ish, but you're still. In fact, even
just
up
moved
until
into the top 6, mate, after this win. Just moved into the top 6, it says, after this.
So even up until like the top 6 was confirmed, you were sort of looking over your shoulder because of the way that Hibs season had started. So this like all of Hibs' results continue to be important, but I think in the context of that run of 6 games, to get the 3 points on the board again, especially with the like Boyle, like we talked about this last week about underrated players. Like how did we? I know it sounds a bit daft to describe Martin Boyle as being underrated, but when you see the contributions that he made throughout the season, like just the goals, even now I've done it myself. Like I'm not like I'm overlooking Martin Boyle and his contribution to this game. I'm like, what about Triantis' goal? That was an absolute perler.
And do you know what? He done the important one there, because that's another 3-1 home win. They've just come back to go 2-1, and then we went and scored the third to just take the heat off, take the pressure off. You know, that kind of to the fans, the calm the fuck down sort of style stuff. Then he start panicking that we're going to lose a late goal. We're the one going and getting the late goal to extend the lead, and that was Boyle again for that one.
A Mindfest game, it was really comfortable. Like it was a game we would never ever look like losing. Like just, I think this is when we'd almost hit like a bit of a groove in terms of performances. And you're looking at the St Johnstone one as being a blip, and then for 70 minutes against Rangers being the standard that we hit, we followed that up with this one. I think, like you say, Colin, that was us going into the top 6. I'm sure there were other results went our way that day. Like it was one of those ones coming out, and you were hearing folks saying, "Hey, maybe Aberdeen had got beat again, or Hearts had got beat," and it was like things all of a sudden has shifted, and you were like, "Right, we can start properly looking up the table now."
Yeah. It was comfortable. 2 early goals in the first, well, early-ish in the first half. Midway through, rapid 2 goals takes the heat out.
Aye. Then Ross County away, 1 each. This was the one where we gave away the 2 penalties.
Go off. That's not the game plan.
Oh, lost Colin there for a second. I think we've Colin, you back again?
Talking away there, and I'm thinking, they're just sitting still. It's because I was fucking getting kicked.
Oh, right. Sorry about that. Well, we're moving on. We're at Ross County now. 1 each.
You missed it, the Clydebank game, aye?
Oh, I forgot about the cup game. Aye,
that's fine. I forgot about it. I didn't go.
I didn't in the cup. It was an easy game.
Aye.
Was that 4-0? Did it finish?
3.
Aye, nothing.
Boyle double Milton-Nicov got one.
Nothing really right home about in that one, apart from the young laddie coming on.
Milton-Nicov, aye.
No.
The other laddie, aye, Gilly.
Aye, Lewis Gilly.
Yeah.
Aye, right, John. 1 each Ross County. We had the penalty given against us for the Nicky Cadden handball that Jordan Smith saved. Levitt scores cracking goal to get it to 1 each. To go in front, and then they got a late penalty, and it was like in the last few minutes, wasn't it? From memory,
88 minutes.
88 minutes. I was still not convinced that all the chat was about the handball penalty that was given. That was actually didn't really matter in the end because it was saved. I thought the penalty that we conceded the goal to was harsher. It was like the boy had pretty much kicked it out and then dived over the top.
That's
Smith.
right.
Oh, it was the big laddie with the Lewis Capaldi hair, wasn't it? He was the one that was challenged by Smith.
Aye. But that was a frustrating point to drop, wasn't it? Like it was a shite game, but you were thinking, well, we've got away with it 1-0 and probably going to see the game out, and then we give away a penalty again. It was just fucking frustrating, wasn't it, John? I
think contextually, I would say that this was a more disappointing point than the one at St Johnstone, given how the goals had been scored and who had scored them throughout the game. But on like at the time, like I think probably because of the time, like you probably get that the Joy Division shout, you'd get the Hibs chat.
Aye.
And it was anything but. Like contextually, again, like you look at that point, like it was a disappointing point, but it was still valuable on the road. And I think perhaps had it been, say, under Nick Montgomery that we'd gained that point, then it would have had it would have been viewed through a completely different lens, because under the Nick Montgomery side and even previous sides before him, it was Hibs lose late goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, albeit Hibs lost a late goal in this game, I think the circumstances, the context, etc., are entirely different. And as we look back and reflect on them, I think you can see it's a valuable point.
Aye, in context, but I mean, this is one of these ones that we need to turn into wins this year. Like they were 10th in the league. They were shite. Like it was the same when we went to St Johnstone. We had a good January, right? We were unbeaten. We picked up some good results. Draw with Rangers, hammered Motherwell, all that. We fucking dropped 4 points to two of the worst teams in the league. Like the teams that were bottom and second bottom. in the league at the end of the season. And I'm just reading here. Hibs have let this is at this point of the season 18 points slip from winning positions. At this point, it's only at the end of January. Like the amount of points
Yeah.
we threw away
Aye,
this season,
crazy.
mental. It was frustrating because I thought I remember that penalty. Now you said that when you were describing it, the handball one, they just get given. Like they're just like you never like that's a 50-50 hit. It depends on if the referee's seen it or no. Because then, if the referee's seen it, hit his hand and didn't give it, it wouldn't be changed by VAR. But if he's no seen it, like he never saw that one, VAR would give it because the rules say, "Well, hits his hand," sort of thing. It's fucking nonsense. But it's one it's just luck either way whether you get that or not. But the other one, he just fell over. He wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't going anywhere. He had no advantage, and he thought, "I'll just throw myself over the keeper." But that's not taken into account in the decision-making process.
I think VAR is a really interesting thing to raise at this point. I don't think we've talked about it too much because it was more high-profile incidents that kind of happened as the season progressed. But when we were just talking about the Motherwell game there, the opening goal for Martin Boyle was the cross or the sort of ball across the box from Jordan Levita.
Yeah.
And Boyle was ruled to be onside, so we benefited from that. But then you have a situation like we had here with the handball and the other penalty where VAR's intervened and said, "Right, no, it's a penalty. Crack on."
VAR, the referee gave the one, I think, didn't he, in this game? And VAR just said he was right.
Aye.
He gave the handball one because the referee never saw it, I think.
Aye, in this one, the referee never saw the handball, so VAR made him have a look at it, and then they did see the foul, and VAR said,
"Well, if you've seen it." Yeah.
Aye.
Do you think that was a classic case of the referee evening things up because he thought, "I should have got that one"?
Nah, because he's benefited Ross County in both occasions.
All right.
Aye. Right, we round off January with a 2-0 win over Aberdeen. This was a huge game, wasn't it? Because we were like, we had the momentum. Aberdeen were really struggling at this point, and there was a bit of chat about whether or not Aberdeen could switch the fortunes around again and sort of send us into a spin and sort of kickstart their season again.
Didn't mean to be pedantic here, right? But this was the 1st of February, this game you're talking about. Aye. So,
save it.
At the risk of being a
pedant,
right?
But
it's January.
1st of February. No, you're all right. We'll keep that for next week. It's a good one to start off on.
Fun pack next week. There's 5 games, although one of them's the cup.
Tell Colin's looking at it. I'm on overtime here.
I'm on the BBC. I'm in my wee box. I'm fucking swearing. I'm looking at the BBC. If you do it on the BBC and go month by month and gives you the whole list of the games, and you can click in them and see the match reports and that. And that's what I was looking at. It was another game. That's what made me.
That's me getting carried away. When I was trying to prepare just before the show started, I was clicking into new tabs so that I had the reports ready to go. Very quickly, we missed a few comments on the YouTube. So Jack C99 vlog said hello. Hi Jack, I've been enjoying your content over the summer, mate. And also a new Hibs fan, Edinburgh Hibs fan channel. It's a new one on YouTube as well. It's in the Famous Five. So I'll go and have a wee look and see what that's all about soon as well. Right, we are done for tonight. Thanks for everybody for your comments and for your talking point, Martin, that you sent in. We'll be back for subscribers tomorrow with extra time. We've not picked a topic yet, so if there's anything in particular you'd like us to discuss, we'll pick it up. Otherwise, we'll make something up and have that out again, probably before tea time tomorrow. That's us for now. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.